Hi everyone, I'm Kamira. I know for a fact that this video topic is going to get absolutely wrecked by the algorithm. I mean, it isn't really that egregious given the things I have been recommended before, but I don't make money off this channel, so I don't really care. But I will make this clear though, this isn't like a haha gooner bait whatever bullshit video. I'm just going into somewhat of more of an analytical approach, if you can even call it that. Listen, okay? As of recording this, it is currently November 2nd, the second day of No Nut November. I know what you're about to say. Oh, Kamira, you gooner. You believe in that stuff? You're so depraved. You have a porn addiction. And yes, every day is No Nut November when peanut allergies run in the family. Luckily, it hasn't affected me yet, so I can still have my Reese's Pieces. Hooray. Why am I bringing such a stupid, unrelated topic in this video? Well, you've read the fucking title. What's the main thing you know Totally Spies for? Be honest. Did you have a crush on one of the girls, or bore them? Did you watch out-of-context clips on Stan Twitter?
She's bald! She's bald and she's torturing people who have hair!
Or do you know it for scenes like this? Chances are, you know the show for its weird fetish stuff, and in recent years the show has kinda gained a reputation for being baby's first gooner bait and giving kids a lot of weird fetishes. So much so that there's a master list of every kink and fetish present in the show, at least up to season 3. I looked at it, and while I don't really put it past people to get their jollies off to the stuff on here, it is incredibly ridiculous. I am judging you if you're into being covered in hot chocolate, because that sounds like it's painful. Yes, I am kink shaming. Yes, Real quick, because I never actually included this into the script, I do want to point out that part of the appeal of some fetishes is the fact that they aren't, like, physically impossible or unrealistic. It's like, think of, like, inflation and shit like that, you know? Yeah, I never go into it when I actually do talk about it, so I'm just gonna put that there. You probably already know the show if you read the title. I don't know, but if you don't know, the show is about 3 girls, Sam, Clover, and Alex, who are regular teenagers and later college students living in Beverly Hills by day and international super spies by night. They work under the eye of Whoop with their boss Jerry giving them their missions, and this wacky stuff happens. Clover is the boy crazy, or I guess bisexual now, good for her. She's the fashionista impulsive one. Sam is just a smart one, and also just the reasonable one. And Alex's personality depends on what the episode is about, but she's usually the dumb one. And they beef with this one girl named Mandy. She's the popular girl, you know how it is.
Coco is for spy assassins only!
I was a big fan of this show in the sense that I liked a lot of girl-centric media, and it wasn't something I hated when it was on. It really wasn't that good of a show in retrospect.
Hello. That must have been a real blast. Now let's get
This show and its fucking puns, man. For some reason, season 3 in particular was archived in this distractingly crusty quality where they just used the CapCut sharpen preset like multiple times. Stupid idiot didn't do her research. They actually fixed this issue like a year ago. God bless. They got a better archiving team. And it was just an incredibly dumb show. There's a lot of stuff where I just have to wonder how it got past the drawing board. Like, there's like a fucking episode where there's an anti-aging serum and then the lady becomes a blob trying to listen, okay, it's late here. I don't take it very seriously to begin with, and they clearly don't want you to either. It's a show of a vision, but not that kind of vision. I don't know. For reasons that escape me, the show is not only still getting seasons, but it's getting a live-action movie by Will Ferrell. A good selling point to me is the incredibly Y2K early 2000s aesthetic that it's just a treat to look at, although that is more of just a matter of the period the show came out in and not just like an actual intentional design choice, so yeah. It does look cool though, although they do drop it in the later seasons because, well, yeah, I imagine it's not quite that time period anymore. But I also have to appreciate the commitment of giving the girls new outfits every episode. It's a common thing with a lot of girly media, but Totally Spies is one of those things that really took it to another level. Because, like, unlike a lot of shows that switch the Flash just to make life a little bit easier, Totally Spies is traditional 2D until season 7, meaning they had to like hand draw every frame, which is a common reason as to why most characters just stay in one outfit all the time. It's just easier to draw. Totally Spies was also a pioneer in what I like to call franime, or French shows that are heavily inspired by anime. There's a lot. I can name at least 5 of them. Japanese animation is actually like super popular over there. I mean, France is like the 2nd biggest market in the world for anime/manga, so I think it's weird that we give East Asian countries their own terms for animation, but we haven't come up with one for French-Canadian cartoons yet. There's also a spin-off series called The Amazing Spies, with the expected content you'd imagine from a Totally Spies spin-off.
This is so unfair! How am I supposed to ride my miniature ponies with all this extra junk in my trunk?
Christ. That's a cool art style, though. I'm a big sucker for bold, sharp art styles like these. Reminds me of Beautiful Joe.
Head to the go-go, baby!
Okay, wow, that got off topic. How am I supposed to link this back to sexual fetishism again? Right. Well, as I stated before, Totally Spies is a very over-the-top series of how ridiculous the stories tend to get. It's kind of the whole appeal, really. Aside from, like, the skin-tight suits, that one was also kind of the main appeal. You know, child-friendly sex appeal, Jessica Rabbit type shit. An added side effect of this, though, is every power scaler's nightmare. Toon Force. Yes, that's right, this is a fictional cartoon that doesn't follow basic scientific principles. Who'd have thought? Every episode, the girls are given different gadgets that look like makeup products, and they have to figure out how to use them to save the day. It's kind of like the predecessor to Ladybug's Lucky Charm. It probably helps the same people were involved in that show, too. Since we've already established that this show is about teenagers stopping bad guys from doing wacky things to Beverly Hills, it really doesn't come as a surprise that the girls themselves are often victims of whatever the bad guy's doing that week. I mean, like, the poor girls get tied up every episode. They get transmogrified or mind-controlled, and worst of all, they lose access to their summer home. My middle-class mind cannot comprehend someone owning more than one house. The problem is the target audience are obviously meant to be children that are obviously still developing in all aspects. Putting hot girls in spandex into precarious situations is going to awaken something in the brain, no matter how hard you try to dance around it. They did their best, but... Listen, I'm not saying deliberately show your child actual fetish content, but it is important to address at least where the fetishes, at least the outlandish ones, come from. Generally, from what I understand, they seem to start around puberty. There's no official explanation for why they happen, but I did look to the #1 most trustworthy source, you know, Reddit, and I think that the bare minimum, people just want to get off to strange things after a rough day. It's called the love of the game, okay? You don't understand. Some people have had personal experiences that condition them into enjoying these kinds of things. Like, for example, if I was into boots, I probably had some kind of, like, experience with boots being used in a sexual context, and then all of a sudden you get it, I'm like, damn, step on me, but that's just an example. I don't know. Other people develop a fascination for it over time, just seeing it exposed to them a bunch of times, and somehow the brain does a little brain thing, and they realize they might get their zoinks off to it when they grow older. You can imagine a show like Totally Spies, which for the most part includes strange and bizarre things that the main characters are usually victim of, will cause something, especially when they show it in gratuitous detail, which Totally Spies does a lot. It kind of reminds me of how people reacted to Mario Wonder, a game with a similar reliance, in fact probably a heavier reliance on Toon Force and wacky happenstances. Literally, the fucking Wonder Flower kind of is a reality warping thing beyond comprehension. It's a goddamn cartoon. It mainly also had the fact that the characters turned into elephants, and a collective sigh was heard all throughout the internet over the fact that people were most definitely getting their zoinks off to it. Some of it is self-reporting, okay? Some of it's definitely self-reporting. The Mario P balloon, which precedes that game by several decades, it was just made as a silly thing. It's just like, haha, Mario is a balloon. I don't need to explain to you why that spiraled. You probably know what inflation is. You know, it's obviously the fact that bread costs $8 at the store now. Most people don't seem to make something for the sake of fetish content, because I can assure you, when they made Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, they did not... I hope to God that they did not get their jollies off to the Violet Beauregard blueberry scene that everyone knows. They were not making it with that in mind. They were making it to make a story about, you know, greed and being spoiled and whatnot. And also, again, it's for children. Mario is for children. Totally Spies is also for children. While it definitely seems like the writing team probably had some fetishes, I don't think they were, like, deliberately inserting it into the show because, I mean, for real, I don't think people who are in charge of making a show for young girls legitimately want to put that stuff into the show on purpose. Okay, yeah, alright. Most normal people wouldn't do that, though. Marathon is not full of weirdos, okay? At least I hope not. I don't know what they're up to. At the same time, though, I can't really fault anyone for developing any sort of weird stuff from this show. I mean, the show was inspired by the likes of Clueless and the Spice Girls and goddamn Cat's Eye. Have you seen Cat's Eye? I kind of see the vision. And while those references are a bit more grounded and, you know, real than Totally Spies is, there's definitely meant to be some sort of appeal there. In fact, very frequently young boys would be tuning in just as much as young girls were. It was actually like an even split. I wonder why. Also, I'm gonna relay this from like an older video I made. The same thing just goes for both sides. You can't control how an art plays out, and artists can't control who sees their work. Unless it's like an NSFW thing, but like, come on now. Still, it's an action comedy first. I heard the newest season doesn't actually have that much in terms of quote-unquote fetish fuel. Part of me thinks they're aware of the reputation the show has. The other part of me just thinks that they probably just used up all their ideas in the early seasons. By season 6, they resorted to turning Alex into a cat and having her nearly crap in a fountain. Most episodes don't actually have that much in terms of the weird shit. A lot of the time the bad guys just want to blow shit up for the love of the game. It really is truly not that serious. But it is really just a matter of a wrong place, wrong time. Even still though, I don't really think there's actually anything wrong with fetish content in general. As long as you're not, like, bringing it up in casual conversation if you don't know if other people are okay with it, or acting out your fantasies on children, or you're not forcefully inserting it into children's shows, then there's really no harm in enjoying something for the sake of pleasure. If it makes you happy, you can be a little freaky, but just be sure to get some fresh air every now and then and learn some boundaries, because not everything is going to be tailored to your specific desires, especially not at stuff targeted towards children. Some things you just don't need to admit out loud. Unless that's your job. With that, I'm Chimera Zone and I'm going to eat a jar of peanut butter now. Non-stop nut November, baby.